Why is it not converting? Because you're showing up, you're posting, you're speaking, you're doing everything they told you would grow your business. So why is it not converting? Because visibility is only half the equation. Getting attention is easy. Turning that attention into clients takes strategy. VoiceLab was built to solve that. This is where front-end visibility meets back-end conversion. You learn how to get on stages, create your own platforms, and use podcasts, summits, and workshops to grow your audience and generate real leads. Then you learn what most people never build. A system that captures those leads, follows up, nurtures relationships, and turns interest into revenue. Email and newsletter strategy that actually gets responses. Workflows, not just more noise. Real connection that leads to real business. Inside VoiceLab, you are not guessing. You're learning the how. You're implementing in real time. You're building a business that works even when you are not constantly chasing attention. Because here's the truth. If you don't have visibility, no one knows you exist. If you don't have systems, nothing converts. VoiceLab gives you both, so you can stop performing for attention and start building momentum that pays you back. If you are ready to grow your authority, expand your reach, and finally turn visibility into income, join Colleen Stubbs and Nicole Borghi in the VoiceLab. Scan the QR code, join VoiceLab Group on the school platform, and build the business that actually works.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Monday Morning Business Foreplay. I am going to go ahead and make sure that we are streaming.
We're good.
We're good. All righty. Welcome, welcome. Today we are so blessed and grateful to be joined by the queen of the maturepreneur world, Jannette Anderson. And she is going to be sharing with us today all about our messaging, and I'm excited to hear about this. I have received lots of questions on social media about this, and I've been responding to them as quick as I can. But before we get started, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what brought you into creating this, Jannette.
Well, frankly, it's because I got pissed off. I was on a marketer's cruise, which you guys know about, and at a networking event, and someone asked me, "What do you do?" And mid-sentence answering him, he turned and started talking to someone else. So I thought, well, what a jerk, we'll say. And I went to the next group. Lo and behold, same thing happened again. So I started to think, okay, maybe it's me. Maybe I've got my light turned down. Nope, wasn't. I'm usually pretty loud and large and in charge and blue hair that's bluer than most times today because of new hair color. Anyway, and I started to observe and realize that pretty much everyone over 55, 60 on that cruise in our group of 450 was overlooked or ignored. And in some cases, actually, literally, gray-haired women were completely invisible. And so I thought, okay, I've dealt with sizeism and sexism. I am not dealing with ageism. That was one ism too many. So I started Maturepreneur World. And what I realized shortly after was it is one of the most incredible opportunities in history. And most people are missing it. So I call it two epidemics and two global trends that is shifting the face of business, and almost nobody is paying attention.
Interesting. I love that. And I think that obviously society tells us that once we reach this age, it's time to just relax, just enjoy, but they're not encouraging us to be creative and to really embrace, right? To grow, things like that, which is what I love about this age actually, is that we can do that at this age and we do it with more confidence, right? We show up because we might not have the quickest thumbs on these apps. I'll give you that to the 20-year-olds. We definitely don't, but we have experience. We've got more insurance. I have to say that, right?
That's a fried green tomato line, that is.
That's right. And I actually say that often. Nicole can vouch for that when I'm driving. Look out, I got more insurance, right? But we've got the experience, we've got the etiquette, we have the knowledge, we know how things have flown, and we also have the confidence in not only our abilities, but in the knowledge we have. And so bringing that and sharing that in the world is such a blessing to the people that we interact with. But we
Yeah,
have to be able to show up, and our messaging has to hit right. And
yeah.
so that's where you come in, right? So
Exactly. But I do want to, Nicole, I just want to really quick, or sorry, Colleen, I'm looking at Nicole and I want to kind of call out two little ageist things that you just said. One is that's a myth that we are not as technologically advanced. I have an 82-year-old friend who can run circles around any video producer you put her up against. And in Calgary, there's a lady who's starting her second tech business at 89. She started her first one at 69, runs the largest data hub in North America. So while they may be slightly exceptions, we invented the internet. You're welcome, and I'm sorry. And we invented AI, and you're welcome, and I'm sorry. So
while
and
you're on
AI,
that, while you're on that, you know what else we invented that you guys should remember is what do they call those? I don't even know what it's called now. We call it shorthand.
we
They
call it
call
what?
it, what do they call it, Nicole? Where it's just acronyms.
Acronym.
Right?
Oh
They have
no.
acronyms for everything. I'm like, really? Because we did those in shorthand class. So
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.
And I will say that those people are probably the exception to the rule. But what isn't the exception to the rule is that at this age, we know how to learn better.
Exactly. Well, and AI is the great leveler. You don't need to be technical in the way you used to be able to need it to be technical. You don't have to know how to code. You need to know how to use AI, and you can put yourself up against any young tech bro. So that whole myth of, we're not as technical and therefore not as valuable is actually not true and won't be true going forward. The second thing is, yes, there's this whole thing about you got to relax and, etc. Most people don't know 65% of North Americans cannot afford to retire. They are somewhere between food and housing insecurity and just can't make ends meet. They have to work. They have to create income. They can't get jobs because of ageism. Like seriously, not feasible after 55, 60. And so they have to become entrepreneurs, which is the first global trend I was talking about. The largest cohort of entrepreneurs coming into the business world in history is happening right now. Just under a billion, that's billion people are coming into the entrepreneurial world from boomers and Gen Xers. And I don't know about you, but when I look at commercials on TVs, they're for drugs and walk-in tubs and Viagra and Depends and adult diapers and stair lifts, which serves about 2% of the population, maybe 1%. The others, the rest of us want business insurance and venture capital loans and access to money and adventure travel and solo travel. So start marketing to this market. You're missing out on the second trend, which is the greatest amount of money in the hands of one cohort ever in history is happening right now. We boomers and Gen Xers, 79.5% of the wealth. You probably should be marketing to us. So the other 35% that can't afford to retire, they have a lot of money. So it's a huge opportunity. There is a huge demand. And we need to start realizing that as businesses, if we're not targeting that, we should be. And as individuals who are in that demographic, you're not done. There's lots you can do.
I would absolutely agree. And I will also throw out there that I heard somebody say the other day, well, why don't you just go get a job at Walmart as a greeter? And I'm like, clearly you don't know Gen X, because if Gen X is a Walmart greeter, it's going to be a party and
Yeah.
nobody's going to know about it. So there's
Yeah.
that. But none of us were cut out that way.
Yeah.
We were told, go figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Don't come back until you have it figured out. And so that's what we're doing now that we've reached midlife, right? We're
Yes.
going out and figuring it out. And I
Exactly.
love the world that you provide for people to be able to do that and the helps and assistance that you provide inside there.
Yes. Well, and it's too much wisdom, like you said, too much expertise, too much value to drain out of society. We cannot let this wisdom workforce go We have context, we have the kind of historical framework, we have a lot of things that we bring to the table. Not to mention that workplaces that do hire older workers have better morale. We have higher emotional intelligence, and statistically, workplaces with older workers are happier and have less turnover.
They probably have a better attendance rate because we hit the clubs till 5 a.m., came home, showered, grabbed a cup of coffee, and we were at work at 6:30.
Exactly.
So we didn't
Yeah.
need a day off or a safe place to go cry about our rough night. We just got to business, right?
Well, yes, there is a definite difference between some of the generations, and all of them add value in different ways, right? So, intergenerational collaboration is actually the best case scenario because if you want innovation, you bring some people with a blank slate and you bring some people with a lot of historical and contextual experience, put them together, and you're going to get better innovation.
I love that. Absolutely. So let's get into it.
All
Let's
right.
talk about our about sections.
Our about section. So my why, is that what you're asking about?
Well, I think that one of the things that you submitted is that we're going to adjust our about page to reflect our why so that it
Perfect.
resonates, right? So that it
Okay.
reaches, so that it's understandable.
All right, perfect. So the I'm also called the why whisperer, and I'm a big believer that our why or our purpose is actually one of the biggest and most important differentiators. So for one thing, it is really important to know your why so that you can get out of bed in the morning. Why do you do what you do? And by the way, your purpose is not what you do. We've been told that for a long time. That's why there's such a big identity crisis going on in people who are 50 and 60 and over who are saying, okay, who am I now that I'm not the CEO? Well, our roles never were our identity or our purpose. Once we figure out our purpose, which I call the intersection between what we're healing from the past and what we long for the future for ourselves and others. So, what we're healing from the past and what we long for ourselves and others for the future. That's our purpose. I think it's a thread that weaves throughout our life. It is consistent. How we live into it, how we express it, that changes from, age to stage and so forth. So when we know what our purpose or our why is, purpose is such a laden word. That's why I often use the word why. When we know what that is, then we can use it in a bunch of different ways. Like I said, gets us out of bed in the morning, align our strategy with it, helps people resonate with us immediately, kind of builds trust and resonance with prospects, with team members, with suppliers, affiliate partners, etc. But the other way that it really helps us is differentiation. So I was at a networking meeting once, quite a while ago, about 35 women in the room, and 5 of them were, I keep forgetting to not show my hand. I colored my hair and I look like a Smurf now. Anyways, like, look, I'm blue. It's ridiculous, which is why I was late because, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So 5 of them were shamanic coaches. So I'd say, what do you do? And they'd say, I'm a shamanic coach. Well, first of all, no, most people don't know what the heck that is. Secondly, there was 5 of them. They all said the exact same thing. So how am I supposed to know, A, if I need one, B, what it is, C, which one to pick? Our potential customers face the same dilemma. So don't start your about section with, I'm a coach, an author, a speaker, blah, blah, blah. A, no one cares. B, it's about you, and which our about section in our marketing is not supposed to be. It's supposed to be about them. And C, it's got a high so what factor. They have to read and read and read till they get to something they care about, which is this. When people say, what do you do? They never, ever are asking that. What they're really asking is, what does what you do for me? What does what you do for me? Answer that question first, okay? They don't care about what you do, and they certainly don't care about how you do it. If I went into a doctor's office, and I was going to get my leg operated on, and he started talking to me about using a number 7 scalpel, I would not be interested or inspired, or nor would I care. I'd, in fact, be quite concerned. I want to know that he or she knows how to fix my leg and that I won't set off alarms going through the airport. So I think the big thing is when we use it, for instance, in our about section, Lead with that. Lead with why you care, what it is that is your purpose in life. Why does what you do matter? That's what they want to know, because that's, by the way, the only thing that's really different about you. I've been teaching entrepreneurs for 40 years. So what? There's other people who've been doing that, not many, but there's other people who've been doing it for 30 or 20. At what point does the number of years make a big difference? It doesn't really. I've got all sorts of expertise. I could lead with that. So do a lot of other people, like millions. So what don't they have? They don't have my why. My why is that I want you to get that you matter and live like you do. And why? Because I always wanted to matter. I wanted to get on the damn list. Never mind the top of the list. I just wanted to get on the list and matter. And so it's what I see, it's what I resonate with, it's what I care about, is people getting that they matter and living into it, which is why I'm passionate about supporting entrepreneurs in turning who they are, what they love, their gifts, their contribution into what they do and get paid well for. So lead with what you care about in your about section, why you care about it, then talk about how you can help them. So what is the solution you bring? Then what is in your about section? You go in this order. You don't go in this order in other marketing. Then what's the problem that you solve? Okay. And the problem you solve is not the cause, it's the effect. A lot of people will, especially a lot of experts and coaches will talk about solving the underlying cause of the problem. These people that we're talking to don't know that that's what's causing this problem in most cases. They just know they're dealing with the effect. So what is the effect or the problem that you solve? Really clarify that you get the pain that that causes for them, because we aren't motivated by the problem. We're motivated by the pain it is, the PITA, pain in the ass that it is. And then talk about your solution, but not, again, down in the weeds, what tools you use, but what the view is from the top of the mountain and the journey that you take them on, the major steps, not the micro, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and so forth. That's what your why section should be, and then your credentials. Not only is it in terms of what people care
I
about.
want to stop you right there and just, I'm going to interrupt you, but I want everybody to take note of how everything she just said circles back and supports the story that she started with. Okay. And this is important. And I do not like to interrupt my guests.
That's okay.
But I want people to understand the value in that and how huge that is in branding your business. Mike did that really well with his story when he did last week. But so many entrepreneurs don't build out their story that way. They don't circle back to it. And what they say isn't supporting their story. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. That's great. Thank you. So part of the reason for doing it in that order is because it grabs people, grabs their attention. That's what you want to do. It speaks to what they care about, which is them, and that you care about them because, and it also then lets them know more about you as a human being. We are in what many people are calling a trust deficit or trust recession, etc. So building connection, in quotes, is more important now than ever. So be honest, be authentic, the authentic word slipped out there. It's so overused. I mean it in the really truest sense of the word, not just the overused sense. Really be you. People don't want to hear your marketing fluff. They want to know who you are. And they want to know then, can you help me? And if so, do you get me? Okay, because the can you help me is only if you really truly get me. Okay, because everyone will say, yes, I can help you. But if you don't get them, then you can't really help them. So I tell my clients, go from the top of the mountain down to the bottom of the mountain, join them in the forest where they are. Don't talk about the view from the top of the mountain on your website, especially only in certain places, especially in your about section, but also on your homepage. Go down to the bottom of the mountain, talk about where they're at, what the view is from the bottom of the mountain, what the pain is, what the challenge is, what the prices they're paying is. So they go, okay, yep, she gets me. Then talk about the view from the top of the mountain, what the solution is you provide, and the benefit of it. That's the primary thing, that is the view from the top of the mountain. Then and only then can you talk a little bit about how you take them up the mountain. If you have it in any other order, you're not speaking to them in the order that they care about, and that's why you're not converting as much. You're not in the conversation in their head.
I would agree with that 110%. I want to pause and see if anybody has any questions or comments at this point. Any experiences they'd like to share?
I do tend to get on a roll, otherwise known as a rant, but yeah.
And by the way, I think your hair looks lovely. Matches
Thank you. It's still wet. I normally don't show up quite so frazzled, but that's okay. I'm here.
Showing up is the point. Alrighty. I did have people message me and say, wow, I didn't realize I lost my wow or my why. And I'm like, oh, you're going to find it. So I really appreciate this and actually being able to dive into that. Let's talk a little bit about a 3-word mantra.
Oh,
Have
okay.
a 3-word mantra you can use to get over sales and marketing resistance immediately.
Yes. Okay. So this is basically the crux of it. And when I've got clients who are like resisting picking up the phone, which by the way is the #1 way for you to connect with people now. I know it's something we haven't done for about a decade, but it really truly is. If you're not filling your events, it's because you're hiding behind your computer, aka social media. So get on the phone or go out to a meeting and meet people in real life like we used to. That's how we get in connection, like in real connection. Talk to a human being. Okay. The 3-word solution that I have for you is, get ready to write this down. Okay, this is a writer downer and a keeper. #1, get. #2, over. #3, yourself. Okay, here's what's going on. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to, impinge on them. I don't want them to think I'm pushy. I don't want to be seen as a, slimy salesperson. What's the first word in every one of those sentences? I. It's our ego that keeps us from promoting ourselves. If you truly wanted to be in service, all you would be thinking about is, what do they need and how can I help them? So anything other than being in service, which is that conversation, is coming from ego. And welcome to being a human being, okay? But that's what's driving it. And so truly, the simplest way to deal with that is to get over yourself, remind yourself that, hey, I'm committed to being in service. I'm committed to being the difference that only I can be. And by the way, only you can be that difference to someone else. So you've got that unique combination of skills and talent and heart and purpose and why. And so someone, and probably a bunch of someone's, needs that particular solution. So it is really, really important for you to deal with your ego, get over yourself, so that you can go and say, hey, how are you? Who are you? What do you need? And either I can help you with that, or I know someone who can help you with that. And you can't do that if we're busy being self-conscious and afraid of rejection and scared and afraid of success and all the other BS stories that we tell ourselves that take us out of the game.
I want to touch on that for a minute, because for me, it's never that I lacked confidence. It's that coming online to build a business was new to me, and it was almost incredibly uncomfortable because I did not know how to do it. And then I did the 4-letter word thing. I started listening to others. And I would add to your 3-word mantra, the 4-word mantra, which is stop listening to others. It doesn't matter. They're not you. They're not building your business. They are not sharing your life, your experience, your dreams, your why, and they are not helping your clients.
Yes.
You are. And so really when I started, and the things seemed ridiculous to me at the moment. Like I remember somebody telling me, do not tell anybody you live on a farm. Like they're going to think you're poor and live on a dirty farm. And then I'm like, what? And so many of my so much of my content in times that I resonate with people is when I'm sharing that I live on a farm.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
I built a business that allows me 3 days a week off because that's what I teach. And so for my ideal audience to be able to see me living that, what
Yeah.
I teach is very helpful. And I'm tired of everybody showing up a certain way. Why
Yes.
can't we all show up as unique as we are and then be magnetically attracted to exactly the people that we are naturally attracted to and find
Exactly.
each other? That's where
Exactly. I constantly am surprised by the number of people who say that they get inspired by my lifestyle. I call myself polyhomorous. I used to say homeless and people would get very distressed. Now I say polyhomorous, they just get kind of confused. I've been a digital nomad. I sold my house and everything I own about, I don't know, 11 years ago now. And and I just think it's how I live. It's to me, it's not unusual. It is my norm. But to other people, it's interesting and inspiring and, all sorts of other things. So we need to realize that how we are and who we are is part of what they are looking at, watching, and buying. It's not just what we offer in terms of our expertise or our tools. So yeah, share your farm. It is part of, like, I think it was Nicole or someone said in the chat, for some people, it's very inspiring. They want to know. For others, it's just interesting and they're curious. But another thing that it does is let them know who you are as a human being, which especially now is super critical. So yeah,
absolutely very critical. And I know that people are really enamored with the digital nomad lifestyle as well. So I
yeah,
love when you say that. That always piques my curiosity because who doesn't dream of getting away, right? And then comes the second thought of how in the world can we support ourselves with it? And so that causes intrigue back into the digital nomad lifestyle.
yeah.
So moving on, I want to open it again, see if anybody has any questions at this point or comments, experiences they'd like to share. I saw that Nicole shared a book in the chat. I have not read this. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Has anybody else read that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is? Okay. It's
Yeah,
going on the book list then.
yeah.
Sure.
It- I think it's a great resource. And it ties into what you were saying earlier about we give our power away when we care too much about what other people think. By the way, one of the greatest blessings of becoming older is we give less Fs. We don't care as much about other people's opinions. We don't care as much about other people's judgments. And I got to tell you, there is so much freedom in that. Having been someone who grew up with an approval issue, who cared what people thought, who cared, and granted, certain people, wasn't everybody. I am so thrilled that that is, certainly waning. There's still a little bit of it, not nearly as much. So yes, I recommend that book. I think it's a good one if that's something that you're working on. And really just and by the way, the other side of it is anything by Jen Sincero, um, which is you are a badass. So one is don't care about what they say. The other side of it is claim and own who you are.
And that was, will you drop that in the chat, please, for me?
Sure. Yeah.
And then I just want to say too that, I read a quote this weekend and I cannot remember who said it, but I loved it. They were talking about building a business and saying that if you are struggling now, you're trying to do all the things, and you're finally getting those going, and you're just really looking forward to the day when everything clicks in your business. And so you have the clients, you have the money coming in, and then you're going to have a whole new set of problems, and people don't understand this, and this is for real. Then your problem is how to keep it up. How to keep it up, how to be consistent, how to raise the amount of money you're making each month, how to continually grow and scale on an even higher level. And the ticket to that, success in that, is to be you
Yeah.
because you clean out 75% of the work. If you start from the beginning by just showing up as your unique self and really embracing that and letting that be a huge part of your branding, because then when you get to the point where you have bigger tasks, or tasks that drain you more. You don't have to worry about how you're going to show up. You're no longer trying to be aesthetically pleasing. You're no longer trying to please Tom, Dick, and Harry. You are just sharing your gift with the world, your experience with the world, and providing value from your heart. And that doesn't change. And so I think that that's huge to remember, that that is a way to simplify your path to success, is by being uniquely you and embracing that. We're not all going to love everybody, but the people that we do, we're really just going to dive into and be magnetically attracted to, for the reason that they are uniquely themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. And uniquely is kind of part of the key here. Is a lot of times when people get older, have spent a life being who we think other people need us to be, a life often of expectation and shoulds and have tos. And so we get to a point in our life, in fact, several times, where we pause and go, well, what do I want? Now, you never get as panicked a look on someone's face as quickly as if you ask them, what do you want? Because they'll probably tell you a couple of things and then they run out of steam and they get this kind of either perplexed look or panicked look. Because especially women, and as we get older, both men and women have spent their life being, doing, and having for other people, for what they want, for what they expect, for what we think we should be. So the good news about getting older is you get to ask that question and create this next chapter the way you want. The bad news is you need to stop thinking like you used to, acting like you used to, and expect to create results differently.
I love that. And I'm going to say too, that for those of us who are Gen X, maybe we were raised with a proper way of doing things, right? And so I know that I was raised every Tuesday and Thursday I dusted and vacuumed from the time I was probably 4. Now, mind you, we had a cleaning lady. That didn't matter. I still dusted and vacuumed every Tuesday and Thursday. And guess what happened when I moved out and got married? I am almost embarrassed to say that I dusted and vacuumed every Tuesday and Thursday for 30, probably 35 years. And then I decided that I really just don't give a shit. If it bothers you when you come to my house that there's dust, I am happy to hand you a dusting towel. But I have wasted far too many hours on vacuuming and dusting, of all the things, right?
Yeah.
And so when we've reached this part in midlife, and I'm not going to be a doomsday person like, oh, we're going to die. Clearly, we're all going to die. None of us is getting out of here alive, okay? I
Yep.
know, and I'm hoping for another 40 years, 45 years, good ones. But by golly dang, I'm doing them different than the last 55. And
Yep.
so there will be a lot less dusting and vacuuming. It still gets done, but I am 100% comfortable saying there's a toilet brush if it bothers you. There's dish soap right there by the sink, whatever that looks like. I used to clean before people came over. I now clean when they leave, because I clean because I want it clean, not because I
Mhm.
want them to see it clean. And so really, when we're looking at our business, making sure that we are uniquely ourselves, that we are spending our time and energy on the parts of our business that are going to help us to scale and grow. And we're doing it in a way that fits us, that fits
Mhm.
our life, so that these next 40 years, we really truly enjoy. We've earned it.
Mhm.
By
Mhm.
golly, we're not living under somebody else's guise. My mother is dead. I assure you, she does not care now whether I dust and vacuum on Tuesday and Thursday.
Exactly.
Get to it.
And do you want your tombstone to say her house was spotless?
Yeah.
Because if that's your legacy, okay, but really, truly, not many of us want that to be our legacy. So it is about, what do you care about? What do you want to be your legacy? And legacy is not motivating for everybody. Frankly, I don't have children. I don't have a lot of family connections. So legacy isn't as critical to me as it is to some people. But for some, it's highly motivating. What am I going to pass on to other people? I really want to make a difference to the people that I know right now. And I want my tombstone to say she was useful. If it says that, I'm going to be really, really happy, because
I,
that means that I made a difference to people.
and you know what? I love that. And your legacy, I'm going to say, isn't going to be just to your posterity. It is to everybody that you've impacted. The
Yep.
greatest joy I get is when a midlife entrepreneur says, oh, it worked.
Yeah.
I spent 4 days away from my business and never thought about it, and it was still running. And
Yes.
that fills me with so much joy because I know then that they have the ability, because of the gift that I shared with them, they have the ability to build what is meaningful to them,
Yes.
what they truly love. And
Yeah.
that's the legacy I want to leave. Now, Haley says in the comment, money generating activity and self care. Absolutely. Self care is, I have never prioritized self care like I do now. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I neglected myself because I've always had a hair and nail appointment. I've always exercised, but to do it so intentionally and self care in that I'm saying that doesn't work for me. And
Yeah.
that is a full sentence. That
Yes.
is my self care. That doesn't work for me.
Yes, period.
I don't
Without a
care.
justification. And by
Yeah.
the way, I jotted down, and I'm going to write an article on, do you clean before or after people leave? Because I think that's a brilliant distinction around, are you doing whatever you're doing, cleaning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for the sake of appearances and for other people, or for yourself? So brilliant line, Colleen. Thank you. I'm going to write an article on that.
Perfect.
Nicole said something about, I'd love to hear more about the travel moment. What did you mean, Nicole?
Yeah, so without ranting on in the chat, because it takes forever to type that back out. But really, it's all about that moment when you were like, "Hey, I need to I need to travel the world." How does that outcome? I know we had a conversation with it, and I'm so sparked with that. Obviously, that's changed in having conversations with Colleen too. I made a big move recently, and I love it. It's peaceful. I can get outside. I can breathe the air. I can hear the
Mhm.
woodpeckers in the morning. There's nothing like the change because I'm such a digital person. But now moving to that decision where now I can be maybe more of a digital nomad. I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to Peru. I want to do all that stuff. I'm not into the ayahuasca thing because that sounds like a mess. But yeah, I just want the fun.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to tell you three things real quick. One is, for a lot of years, I wanted to go to South America. I don't know why, it was just in me and so significant. And I talked about it ad nauseum. And I'm sure my friends were sick of hearing of it. My bestie made me a birthday cake one year that was the entire South American continent with all the countries in different icing colors. And I kept having reasons, aka excuses, why I couldn't go. Well, I didn't have enough money. Okay, now I've got a really great job. Now I don't have the time. Okay, now my business is rocking along, so I have the money, but if I leave, then I won't. And there were on and on and on. Finally, I got sick of asking myself those questions. And one day, and I was like, well, I can't because whatever, fill in the blank. And I stopped myself and said, well, what if that wasn't true? Okay. The next thing was, well, then I go to South America. The next question was, okay, how do I make that work? So, what if it's not true? This is kind of from the work of Byron Katie, but can we always know that our story is true? No. If not, well, what might be a better story that we can tell? So, was it true that I couldn't go? That not absolutely. It was a story I was making up. 3 months later, I was in South America, traveling through Central America by myself, and then traveling through South America for 2.5 months on a tour. So I traveled through Central and South America for 5.5 months, 6.5 months, 7 months, and then went to Greece and Turkey with a friend. So first of all, the important thing about becoming a digital nomad is say yes. Just how do I make that work instead of buying all the stories? Second thing, I made it permanent when I came home from a trip. I was living down in Mexico for the winter because I'm pathologically allergic to winter. That's really what drove this digital thing. And I love travel. And my roommates had done $24,000 worth of damage to my house. That was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm selling my house. And I looked around and I looked at my huge, big plants I had. I had these big trees kind of thing. As you can see, I really like plants. And I burst into tears. I, I would like, but my plants. I had tons of books and tons of CDs and tons of crafts, and all of those mattered to me, but it was the plants that got me, right? And I stopped myself and I sniffled and I went, really? You can't have your ideal life because of a ficus? Really? So we really got to take a look at what's the story we're telling ourselves? What are we attached to and hooked by? And how do we take the hooks out? So as soon as I got kind of real about that, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure there's plants other places in the world. It's okay. And so I was then again able to sell my house very quickly, called in lots of support, took everything from a 2,600 square foot house that was full of stuff. Like I'm talking 800 books, 300 CDs, every craft you can name, down to a 10 by 10 storage unit. So number one, really got to let go and figure out what's holding on to you instead of what you're holding on to. Okay, that's one. Two, very practically, there's a couple things. One is decision fatigue's a big issue. You really, as much as we long for freedom, you need to have some things that you don't have to decide. So the past 18 months, I have been house and pet sitting. In fact, right now I'm in Northwest Calgary in someone else's house. Not a lifestyle for everyone. There is quite a bit of disruption. You know, I'm moving every 3 weeks to 3 months. Typically, they're about a month at a time. And that's disruptive. It's hard on the business. So you got to figure out how to create systems and ways of communicating with team and stuff like that that works around that and keeps you consistent. Deal with decision fatigue. It takes you out of the game. They've studied if you have too many decisions to make, you make bad decisions. And when your whole life is a decision, what do I do now? Where do I go? What am I going to live? How am I going to live there? What am I going to do? Then it's too much. And you start just going, well, to hell with it. I'm just going to, abdicate. So there's some real practical things. And then the last thing I'd say is, you know how they say home is where the heart is? You need to reverse that if you're going to become mobile. Heart is where your home is. So show up with heart wherever you go, connect with people as quickly as you can so that you're at home. And stay connected to the people in your life more than you think you need to, because you're out having adventures, they're back living their regular life. You can drift apart easily. So it's really important to stay connected with people that more than you think you need to. So there's some tips if you decide to go mobile, Nicole. And you're welcome to call me and have more, and we can talk more about some of the practicalities of it. Oh, Colleen, you're muted. There you go.
And yet my lips were just a flapping. Okay. Imagine that. It wouldn't be Monday Morning Business Foreplay without that happening at least once.
Yeah.
I love what you said, but then I want to say too that in my experience, I have found that when I focus on self-care, true internal self-care, the things around me, and I have an entire IKEA craft room.
Yeah.
I get it. And I have more bookcases than anybody I know with actual physical books on them.
Yeah.
But the things around me become just things.
Yeah.
Because the focus is more on my eternal happiness, my internal happiness, being focused, being centered, being in a place where I can give and share more freely. And I can do that when I'm taking care of the self-care. And when that focus shifts, it shifts off of the importance of the things. All right. I want to say that we have a few minutes left. I have some questions for you, but will you please take like the next 3 minutes and tell us about booking a call with you for your What's My Why session?
All right. So I've actually changed this to be a paid offering now. So you guys get this for free or complimentary. Don't say free on your stuff, say complimentary. Free has no value. Which is it's a session where we sit down and talk about some of the things that will support you in figuring out what your why is. And like I said earlier, why is not what you do. It's not how you do it. It's why you do what you do. And my perspective is that it was created when you were little. So we do some digging into the past in terms of significant events that impacted you. I'll give you a quick little exercise that you can do if you want to work on this on your own. But frankly, it's really hard to do for ourselves because it's kind of right on the end of our nose and we can't see it. It's like you can't read the label from inside the jar. So it's really beneficial to do this in the listening of someone who's experienced in listening for longing, because that's the key to what really matters to you. So quick exercise you can do is, if I handed you a magic wand, what's one thing you would change about you, other people, and the world, or the world? What's one thing you would change about you, other people, or the world? What do you get on your soapbox and rant about? And if you go, well, I don't rant, just go ask your friends and family. They'll tell you because you do. And then, and then the third thing is, what do you stand for and what do you stand against? Write all that down, take a look at it. That will give you an indication of who this person is and what they care about. That's some of the work we do on this call. Plus, we look at some of the significant events. But what we do is turn it into what I call a Genesis story. So, a way for you to explain why your why matters, and where it came from. So I have a story that I use when I'm speaking. I call it my Heidi story. I haven't told it today, but normally I do on podcasts or in other situations when I'm doing keynotes. Lets people know kind of where I started and how I got to where I am. And it gives them a glimpse into the very human makeup of me that is unique. And so I use it in my speaking. I use it when I'm on podcasts. I use it in books or chapters when I'm writing. So knowing your why, your origin, really helps you then, like I said earlier, put it into your about. So you can go to the link in the chat, or sorry, in the show notes or the chat, wherever it is, and book a complimentary session with me. You will have some pre-work and we'll do some work, and you may have some post-work to get it all done, but it's really worth it because it will help you really deepen into what matters to you and why you matter to other people.
I love that. Okay, so let's dive into 3 questions.
Sure.
Number 1, what's the one thing everyone in your industry is still doing that you think is complete bullshit, and why are they still doing it?
Okay, we're going to need way more than 3 minutes for that, but okay, let me just say, the gurus on the top of the mountain are selling solutions that work at the top of the mountain when you are in the impact and business builder and legacy builder stages. They don't work for people who are coming up the mountain in the dream builder and business or practice builder and early business builder stages. Don't buy leveraging solutions that are ahead of the stage that you're at or that don't work for you. Cookie cutters are for cookies, not for damn business models. So my answer to that is pretty much most everything from most everybody in our industry, except for a few exceptions. I know that may sound cynical, but I've been behind the curtain building those quote unquote 7-figure businesses. And I can tell you there's a lot of, unfortunately, out of integrity smoke and mirrors in our industry. Do not throw money at a solution. Do the work. If you buy a program, do the damn work, and don't go looking for silver bullets.
So are they doing that because they feel like that's the top dollar and so they want to make the top money? Is that the reason? Because I feel like that's the reason.
For some, they actually think it's what works, even though it's really what worked 10 years ago and it got them to where they wanted to be. So therefore they think it's all that in a bag of chips. For some, it's because it's the only way to scale is to sell cookie cutter solutions, AKA make more money, but also have more impact, because there are those that do want to have impact. But I would challenge them and say, look, at best in our industry, 20% of the population finishes the programs they buy. 20%. If you went to a car lot and they said 2 out of 10 of these cars will drive off the lot, but you have to pay up front, would you shop there? No. And yet in our industry, we seem to think that that's okay. I think anything less than 100% completion rate is not okay. Now, granted, there are times when people have life come up, etc., but that should be made room for in that person's business model.
I love that. One of the things that I like to say is that if you knew that you had to take 100 shots before you made the one that made the difference, would you start shooting?
Yeah.
Because so many people are dragging their feet about shooting. So kind of the same thing, but a little bit, the flip side of it, right? Okay, question number 2. What is a mistake that you made that cost you serious money or time that you kept making anyways because you were too proud or too scared to admit that it wasn't working? Moment of vulnerability. Come on, you can do it.
Again, need a whole lot more time to tell you all of them. Okay, I'd say probably the biggest one is I didn't eat my own dog food. I have a little business success roadmap that I give people that talks about those stages that I just mentioned, and don't do things that are at the stage ahead of where you're at. Having built several seven-figure businesses for others, I know what works at those stages. And so I kept trying to do those things, but I wasn't at that stage. So I hired team prematurely. I tried to do leveraging strategies and have big events and do things before I had a list, before I had the foundation. And I'm still trying to be ahead of where I am. When I pull myself back to what works at the stage that I'm at, it works. When I try and do things from the stages that are ahead, even though I know how to do them, even though I've done them in the past, that's not where my business is at. So I can't do them. And I fail, and I fail, and I fail. And I get frustrated and pissed off. And then I go look at my roadmap and I go, oh, yeah, right. I shouldn't be doing that right now. So, number one, I would say don't hire a team prematurely. And especially don't do what I have done, which is abdicate, not delegate. I've gone, oh, good, someone else can do this. I'll just throw it over to them. And they are at least as smart as I am and at least as invested in my business as I am. And completely clear on exactly what to do without me telling them. So they're going to be successful, right? Yeah, no. You can't abdicate, you have to delegate, and you have to really set that person up for success. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. So those are the two of the things that I have done, continue to do, and every time it's cost me.
I love that. And I'm going to say that I do feel like when you're creating your business plan, you can have the different aspects that you want included in your business at the ultimate end.
Yeah.
And you can be working at the highest level in one stage and the lowest level in another stage simultaneously. And so that's important to know that you don't have to do it all in a grand way, all in the final way at the very beginning. It doesn't work that way for sure. You're 100% correct on that. Okay, number 3. If you could give only one piece of advice to someone in your industry, but it would go completely against the grain, what would it be and why is it worth the backlash?
Oh, okay. That's a good framing question. I might have to borrow that one. Okay. Well, I've already said get over yourself. So I think, well, there's 2. One, for all the people out there that are ageist, I would say dismiss me at your peril. Okay, let me just say that again. Dismiss me and people like me at your peril. There are so many reasons why that's not good for you, not good for society. And frankly, you're going to end up with a bunch of people who are pissed off enough to make an impact that might impact on you. So that's one. The second thing that I would say is tied to the you matter is anytime that you are acting like you don't, not only are you doing a disservice to other people and to God, the universe, whatever your framing is, but it widens the gap between what you know in terms of who you are and how you're being. That gap is where the suffering is. You want to suffer less, close the gap. Be the difference that only you can be. And if you're struggling with that, call in support. We can't do it alone. So call in support, get over yourself so that you can, in fact, have the impact you're meant to have.
I love that. And I think if each of us go forward this week and really embrace our own unique self and share our unique gifts, that this week will be successful. This has been super powerful and inspiring. It's also been fun. I have really, really enjoyed this. So if today's conversation has helped you to see something differently, to make one clearer decision, or to take one meaningful step forward, then this hour did exactly what it was designed to do, because clarity creates momentum and momentum beats motivation every time. Thank you so much for this conversation, and thank you all for attending Monday Morning Business Foreplay.
Thank you.